Hey, Sean, no one asked for this video series, and I don't know if it'll be helpful to anyone other than me, but so what? If it helps me, I'm going to do it anyway. But I wanted to review my own videos when I make them because I feel like there's a lot, like any creative project, there's a lot of things that you can do afterwards where you look at a project and you're like, man, I just wish I would have changed this one thing. And I don't think that ever goes away, not only in general, but also for any particular project. There's projects that I did last week and projects that I did 3 years ago, both of which I look at, and some mistakes I've made the same, and other times there's new mistakes or new room for improvement. So this is sort of a risky series because my client videos I'm putting out there, and while that's not risky, me critiquing my own client videos, I think I don't want them to see a video and think that I didn't like the video that I made for them or it's not good, because it was good enough for me to deliver. But I think with a lot of these, there's always like just a little bit of room to improve. And so I want to look at these and see what those things are, maybe start to see a pattern over time or things I can build into future projects to make sure that we make some of these free from some of the mistakes that plague these things. So this project is a project for Four Hands Brewing Company. It's a video that's going to play at stores that sell their beer along with other St. Louis Brewing Company competitors. So we wanted it to show sort of their lifestyle a little bit and what goes into their beer. And right off the bat, I can tell you that the camera is crooked, where if you look at the left and right of the screen, the beers on the right side of the screen are higher in the frame than the beers on the left side. Like it's tilted. And that alone is driving me crazy. But we filmed this entire video in one day. We filmed interviews all morning. We filmed the 2 interviews, set that up, lit that, got that all ready, filmed the interviews, and then in the afternoon, filmed all the B-roll of people toasting that you're going to see, all of these beauty shots and the beer pours and stuff like that, as well as a tour of the brewery. All that was filmed in a half day. And so this was jam-packed. And I think given that, I love how it turned out because we captured a lot. But the other thing that's going to thread through here is this day was like this awful storm in St. Louis where snow just came down. Most companies in St. Louis closed that day. Restaurants closed. People sent their employees home. And so there were times we were supposed to have more people for, the toasting, and we just couldn't have more people come in because of the weather and stuff. So I see some of the same faces a few too many times, but it was just, we were just victims of the circumstance of a perfect storm, quite literally. So here's the video and what I think maybe could be better if we had another swing at it, other than just saying, man, I wish we had more time to light these better, to take a few hours to get a couple of these shots instead of crunching everything into the single day that we had. I like this song, though. I'm glad they did, too. These glasses that we got from the bar are just their glasses, and they're all a little scratched, and I don't know if anyone's ever going to notice that, especially on whatever size screen it plays at these stores, but I think in the future, I want to bring my own pristine, beautiful glasses so that they're not etched up and whatever from being a bar's typical glasses. Yeah, a lot of the same faces just shuffling around at different tables and different places in the same bar. But I think it works, again, given what we had. There are a few things that make Four Hands really unique, not just our culture and our employees. These interviews, we couldn't control the lighting for the whole room very well, and it was tough to balance with our own stuff. So we ended up using an Aperture 300D with a lantern attachment on it and used this to light both the subject and the background. And I'm glad that the light was powerful enough to work that way, but I wish we had a little bit more diffusion and time to put up diffusion so that we could have really taken the exposure down on Martin in this shot a little bit and then on Kevin in the next interview. But again, we were just moving and grooving and using what we had, and this looked better than the alternatives that we had at that time. And our employees, but the types of beers that we produce a really unique assortment of beers. We produce what we like to drink and anything we can think of. So if it's something that excites us, we find a new ingredient we want to work with, we go ahead and we brew with it.
I think at the end of the day, we brew what we want to drink. and we hope that the customers can trust us enough to try it and go down that.
In hindsight, I wish we would have shot this where we had framed this slightly better. But again, we're sort of in this rush. And I know I keep hiding behind that. But we were sort of trying to move things along so we could get to everything. And when you're in that mode and when you're dealing with those sort of limitations, things like this quickly leave the radar of, we need to get this, we need to get it. And, we'll cover more of it with B-roll maybe. But I wish in hindsight we would have stopped and maybe framed this up a little differently.
Go down that path with us. We like to be playful, we like to be fun. We really like to think outside the box, and I guess we like to drink outside the box.
We've got all sorts of seasonals from...
All of these warehouse shots are really yellow. And again, that was because we were sort of coming in there quick. It is sort of yellow. The lights are yellow in there. And then when you've got the yellow color of all the concrete and stuff like that, it just sort of has a yellow hue to it, the room in general. And our cameras weren't immune to that. But I wish we had the time to sort of balance things out, maybe kill their lights and add our own. But that becomes a full day shoot just to get a few of these shots. But I wish we had maybe the bandwidth or the ability to shoot raw or a higher bit depth of color so that we'd have more room to balance this out without it falling apart. But as it is, I noticed the difference between the yellow of the warehouse and the non-yellow of everything else.
Belgians to fruited beers to big barrel-aged beers. We really like to work with unique hops coming out of Southern Hemisphere, New Zealand,
like that shot.
Australia.
Little hot.
So any
little
cool
hot, but it's
ingredients
all
we
right.
can find, we work with them. And any style that we like, we brew it.
If we're gonna create a beer festival, we're gonna put on a circus.
Focus is missing there.
We're going to be charitable,
These
we
beer
wanna make
pours
sure
were
that
really
we're
tough to get
finding
right,
an appropriate
to
way
get the
be
perfect amount of
charitable
head on it,
citywide
pouring out of these
is the way
cans,
that we're really using
and to get the
message
timing
that's
right.
something
Especially there's
more
one where we
than
push in a
always
little
wanted
bit.
to be more
We have a
than
lot of
brewery, we wanted to
outtakes
be a
of beer
pillar of the
pours.
community,
A
and
lot of beer was
Citywide is
wasted that day.
opportunity for us.
Our citywide APA program helps us work with local nonprofits.
I don't like putting photos in videos in general, but I think this works out because it would have been impractical for us to go to all these charity events with them just to get footage for this, which they didn't even know they were making this video until those pictures are old. But I never like putting photos in a video, but I think this works to tell their story pretty well and show that variety of charity work that they do.
And we work with incubators and small businesses to help build the economic side of St. Louis.
This coming April of 2020, Citywide will be 4 years old.
The canning line was down for most of the day. It only really started working late afternoon as we were actually wrapping everything. And so Tyler went and shot as much of it as he could once it was finally up and running. But I wish we had a little more time because I think this would have been a fun place to mount cameras on the line and get some different angles, maybe sort of follow a can all the way through the filling process and stuff. But we just didn't have the time or flexibility to do that.
And at that time, we'll have given back over $200,000 to local nonprofit. So we're really proud of that.
This is a cool shot. I think Tyler did this one. Yeah, this is that pour where not only are we trying to get the pour right, but time it so that it finishes cresting that foam right as the camera gets to the end of the push. And if we had the VFX time to really paint out some of the reflection in that glass, I would have liked that, but I dream. More toasting footage with the same smiles. So that's it. I think while the outro does drag, we know that the context of this video isn't going to be something that someone probably sits and watches in its entirety. What we wanted it to do, since it would be playing on this loop in a retail store, is have it where there'd be something to watch as you walked by. And so we were okay with being a little longer, even if it didn't really develop the story so quickly, because we knew we just wanted to sort of captivate people as they came by, have some decent music coming out of it. And I think overall, it achieves that goal pretty well. So I think I'd give it a B+. I think there were some things that we rushed that day due to the weather and stuff like that. But even with those confines, I really think it tells the story well. It illustrates what they do and the style in which they do it pretty well. And they were super fun to work with. It was a blast to actually get out there and shoot that, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. So I hope there's more, and I hope there's time to expand our set a little bit in the future and maybe be a little bit more patient with these individual shots and switch up the locations of the interviews to add more variety, or even mirror it so that it's not, two people sitting in the same seat because we got to go one after the other. But in general, I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm looking forward to maybe the opportunity to do more with them. That's all. I hope this was helpful. It probably wasn't. It was helpful for me to sort of think through it and have a record of my notes. But if there's anything that was helpful to you, or as you watch this, things that you're like, oh, if I do something like that, I should remember this, this, or this, let me know what those are, because I'd love to do more of these and do them in a way that could be helpful to you. And if there are things that are helpful that I say and things that don't matter at all, I'd love to know the difference. That way I can make it more beneficial for all of us. Thanks for watching. See you later.